Hi, it's Charles. I've been working on this song for a little bit. You've heard it in a short in the last songwriting log and journal. So still doesn't really have a name. Still in the editing phase. So last time I talked a lot about like how I would write out these chord changes and then everything along those lines. So I want to talk about how I got from there, having these chord changes and all that good stuff, to having an actual like song, right? So from there, with this particular one, I find this generally how I write songs. It's not always this way, but for me, this is the most repeatable process that I can do. And the reason I do this is because I'm writing music. I'm not writing purely poetry here. I can write poetry, and I do write poetry, but for the poetry piece, that's something a little bit separate. That's just words, that's just cadences that people either hear in their head or when they're reading it aloud. So everything I'm doing with my music is in service to the music that I'm working on. And so what does that mean? For me, that means I usually come up with a chord progression or a melody first. You have that. Then I have this progression. And then this progression. That's great. How do they fit together? Not 100% sure. So what I generally do from there is I start to hum along. Sometimes I'll record it on a voice memo and then play some other instruments over it. For this one, humming made a lot more sense. We're just saying like do 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 do. And so there might be like slightly different rhythms than the words wind up finding. So I have that melody. I'm starting to understand with it and sit with it. Words weren't actually coming yesterday, but this morning I just woke up. I drank my tea. I was reading Fretboard Journal and saw this really cool article about Charlie Parr and Spider John's 12-string guitar that he gave him. And so I was listening to Charlie Parr's latest a little bit this morning, and while I was doing that, this poem came out, pretty much what you just heard. So my unconscious a lot of the time is going to be processing this as well. And I try to be patient with it. I'm not the most patient person on earth, but I try to be patient here. So I wrote out this poem and I was like, I think this goes with the words. So, 8 a.m., 8:30 a.m., I come in here, wife's still sleeping, just try to be a little quieter and just start singing. What would you do? That you love, sparrow in midair, is taken from you within room. If only I could fly. Don't let the fear leave me here. And so that's an interesting bit. So the way I actually wrote this is I have the first two lines, and those are a couplet, and then there's another line after the third line, so the fourth line, which is actually part of that initial couplet. So it's essentially two poems that have some different words going along. So what do you do when the one that you love is taken from you is very much coherent. And then I've added in the lines, a sparrow in midair, always within reach. If I could fly, don't let the fear leave me here. And so that feels more complete too, but I've interspersed them in a way that I think makes the picture a little bit more interesting and a little bit more murky. Honestly, I was just watching the birds while I was drinking my tea, and that's where the sparrow thing came from. But I think with lyric writing, it takes on its own meaning, especially when you start adding it with the music. So I'm always a big fan of, I don't like to tell people necessarily like what my songs are about or anything, because I don't really, they're kind of about whatever you're thinking they're about. This one I really wanted to keep with a little bit more of a desert theme, so there's some talk of arroyos in there. The climate breakdown I really kept particularly vague. We're in the middle of a crazy March heat wave, so it does feel like the Earth's climate's breaking down, but it also feels like the political climate's breaking down, and so many other things too. So I kept that intentionally vague there as well. I also wrote a little bit about water here because water is very cleansing of life in general. It's, well, most like myself, probably you too, unless you're an alien or robot or something from the future, you are mostly water. And so that's one of the elements of life as well. So that was what I was thinking through as I was writing these lyrics. Like I said, I don't want to give too much away or anything, but I do want to talk about the craft behind it, how I'm putting it together. And so now we're in the editing phase. And the editing phase to me is where you can start to really hone in. So I would not consider this a completed piece yet. And it's pretty close. There's a few lines that feel a little bit awkward here and there that I'm going to have to hone in. And that's just going to come with playing it a bunch. The other thing I like to do a lot, and I think a lot of other artists do this too, is go gig it. Like, I want to go play this at an open mic or something along those lines just to see how it's received, see how it feels. Because even more than necessarily the audience receiving it well, like, I want to be able to play the song well, sing the song well, make it feel like it's mine. Every once in a while, you'll notice there's an awkward line. Maybe this line isn't working. Let's get rid of it. Let's try it. Let's rework it. So it'll still be the same song, in my opinion, but it will be edited down to its essence over time. So let me know if you have any questions about this, or like how you're writing songs, and what songwriting looks like to you, and what you think too, because that's part of the editing process. I think is getting in front of an audience as well. Since we are musicians, we do have that luxury. Painting is done when it's put in the frame generally. But thankfully, a song does not have to be either. So like and subscribe if you're enjoying this content. I think this is really fun. I just want to give a little bit of more behind the scenes, a glimpse into how I work. You could probably see, got my notebook over here. That's what I'm looking at. I don't have this memorized yet. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for tuning in and listening. I'll play you out a little bit.